Yes. Oh, we should have started earlier. That's okay. Yep, so all of those things. Thank you for asking that question. So now this will be recorded from this point forward. And it's okay. I pretty much read the slides for the most part. Well, not entirely. So those of you who are listening or watching the recording might need to ask some other questions about the earlier slides, but we will send the slides out, make those available, and also this recording. Okay, again, thanks. And stop me whenever you have a question. There's another one.
So I know you said that if they aren't matched, then usually people don't request it back. But say you get like a matching grant of like, can multiple people be?
I know exactly what you're asking because I've heard this.
But they were all given different amounts, and you don't raise $10,000.
Whose grant was matched and whose grant was not matched? The very best answer to this question is that it is not something that people will ask you. Yes, yes. I'm glad you asked that question, and I do want to encourage, especially all of you who are new, there are a lot of brain busting questions like that do arise around matching grants. So feel free to ask them. And if you're like, wait, this seems really weird, are you sure? Ask the question. One of my favorite quotes about matching grants is they're kind of like quantum mechanics, because it's when you observe it that it becomes true or it becomes real. Yeah.
So don't get hung up and freak out and let that keep you up at night.
Yeah, really the most important thing that you want to, thank you. And I meant to restate that question. So for those of you who are online, the question was, what if multiple people donate matching grants to you and the total comes up to be like $10,000, but you don't meet your match? The question was kind of like, well, whose matching grant got matched by the funds? And so the answer to that is no one will ask you. And if they do, the staff can help you with that. But that is, again, yeah, it's just not the thing that you want to be able to describe and talk about with your donors is the idea that they are pledging publicly to give a certain amount of money to you to match donations from people in the public. So what they are saying to the public is, I love Sue's gift so much, I want you to give more, and so I'm going to match $500 from whoever wants to donate to them. I'll give it a $500 to match that. So that's really the part that you want to be able to address and talk to your donors about. So again, since we have a lot of folks who are new, one of the things that the Give campaign does, because we know how powerful these matching grants are, that it's at the top of your profile online. When you're in the Give campaign and the website goes live, somebody goes to your nonprofit's page, at the top, someone will see how much money has been pledged in matching grants. And for anybody that wants to be public with their name will be listed as well. So that's also some exposure for lots of potential businesses or folks who, as many of you know, who are professional fundraisers. Companies really do get goodwill by publicly showing that they care about the community by donating. And the website gets a ton of traffic between October and November. So for anybody that goes to your page, they will see the name of your matching grant donors, and that is some exposure that you can offer them for those who, that's important too. Lots of people, it's not. Yes, there's a question.
Ladder grant, like, I will match the first 1,000, and then somebody else will, okay, once you hit that 1,000, if you hit 1,000, I'm gonna match another 1,000, and then that's 2,000.
Wow.
Kind of build
Mhm.
competition, especially like with like board members or other communities, kind of a little competition. If you make 1,000 of them, I'm gonna give you another.
Right. You know, okay, so the question that was asked is, do we employ ladder grants where if somebody says, I'm gonna give you $1,000, but then if you meet that $1,000, then I'll give more, or someone else will give more, or someone else says, if that person's grant gets matched, then I'll make a grant to match. To my knowledge, we've never done that in the Give campaign. And it could be, I'm not sure it's something that we would be able to communicate on the website in the structure that we use. However, there are nonprofits that do different kinds of fundraising for their matching grants that does not get represented on the website. That you could still, for example, have someone on your board challenge the other board members to say, let's all give this amount of money, and if we can meet more than that, then I'll give more. So then that communication can happen within, but outside of the Give campaign. Yeah. Other questions? Are there any questions online? Oh, there's one here. Yes. Hi.
Sorry, just back to that January 12th date with the matching grant.
Yes.
So let's say that we had a grant put up. We didn't meet the match. So does that money automatically get released to us or go back to the, how does that?
Yeah. So the
I know you
question.
kind of
Great.
said that, but.
No, thank you for asking that clarifying question. So the question was about that January date at which the matching grant donor could request refund of funds that were not matched in the live campaign. And the answer is that the assumption, and that's why this disclosure is very important, the assumption is that the donor is going to want to give you that regardless of whether it's matched, because that's been our experience for all the years of the Give campaign. So it automatically is going to go to you unless your donor contacts Give by that date and says, I want to have the unmatched. And, you know, all of the funds that you raise in the Give campaign are public on the website. So any donor can go there and see how much was raised. So it is basically, we create the ability to do that for the integrity of the concept of it being a matching grant. And since, yeah, so that's how that works. You'll, unless your donor lets us know. And of course we would let you know if that happened, but it never has. So another question. Until, wait, let me get. The debt, oh, that was September 1st, I think. There it
What's
is.
a little bit different about that this year, is that your matching grantor, if you're sending them a link, they're paying online, they could pay up until September 29th. But then they're not gonna fill out that form and then wait to pay online until a later date. Does that make sense? So the September 1st deadline, would be that, pertains to those who are gonna pay with their mailed check. So they're gonna still have to fill out the form, or you could fill out the form on behalf of them. But then they're gonna put their check in the mail, and then there is some lag time until we receive the money and process it. So we want, that form to be done ahead of time, so that we know that you've fulfilled your obligation to find a matching grant by that time. But if they're paying online, they might not do that until September 28th, because they're not going to fill out that form at a separate time than when they pay. Does that make sense? So I would say that the September 1st deadline is kind of arbitrary, because with this new form, which we're still like kind of wrapping our minds around, because because it's not pertinent if they're paying online, but we want to have those checks by September 29th. So we don't want to give them that deadline necessarily, because we don't want them to put that check in email. We want them to put that in the mail before that. Does that make sense? Yes.
Question about that. If somebody makes an electronic donation after September 1st, are they still going to get the publicity?
Oh, yes. Yes.
We're just really trying to, I mean, because you know, those deadlines and people see them and then we'll need an extra week. So we're trying to give ourselves as much
Yeah.
runway this year as possible. So we're not running up against what we were last year. And the deadlines were actually hard deadlines, but we felt bad that we were behind on everything. So we're just trying to build in more time for us a little bit this year and you and everybody. So yeah, we're just not encouraging them, like, wait till the 29th. It's like the same reason we have 3 extra days built on in January and for those that forgot to give.
And just to clarify, so I've got a couple matching grants lined up already.
Uh-huh.
Okay, my dad, who's 82 years old and only pays by check. I
Yes.
need to turn that in by September 1st.
Yes,
Because he needs to mail a check.
yes,
UC Health, which also is gonna pay by check
yes,
by September 1st.
yes,
Anybody else, I can blow through that September 1st. If they're just gonna do an ACH payment immediately,
yeah,
I can do
Yep.
that after
Yep.
September 1st, all the
Yep.
way up until the 29th.
yeah.
Thank you.
And as soon as we give you the like forms live, like
Got it.
send it like dandelion weeds, like we get it all.
Okay.
We will try to do that
Yeah.
Monday. We just want tomorrow to
I'll
like
repeat that.
make sure do all the testing, get all this out. So that's why. So, but it will be ready soon. So you're not gonna have to approach, unless you're doing it this weekend, approach a matching grantor and say, well, it's not ready yet, you know.
Before we do the new question, I want to
Yeah,
say that to the folks who are online, because I'm not sure if they heard Susan. So Susan basically said, okay, is this what you're saying? That if someone is going to be sending a check, they need to submit their form by September 1st so they can get the check in the mail. But if they are going to be paying by ACH, that form will be open and they can pay with the ACH electronic payment up until the deadline of September 29th. So that's what that is. And yes, question. Yeah, so the question was, do all we have to do if we get someone to make a commitment for a matching grant, do we just send them the link to the form? And is that all we need to do? So that was the question. And I think that the answer is well, the answer is yes. I'm seeing Rachel say yes. You want to come up and answer?
Yeah, so this form is replacing the old form. So this will hopefully be easier for everyone. And we do, those of you who have been in the campaign for a while do need to make the transition, because I think there was previously an emphasis that you, to take care of your donor, should be filling out that form. But now the way that the form is worded, we're speaking to the matching grantor. So really they should be filling out the form. If they're comfortable giving you their ACH information, you can fill it out for them. But this has kind of transferred that so that the onus is on them. So you are sending them the link. Yeah. And so I would just make sure to emphasize, if someone is paying by mail, that they still need to fill out this form, because that's how their name will be published to your profile once we receive their payment. Does that make sense? Okay, great.
And I would actually follow up a question on that, which is, and this is being worked out, I think, which is how you will know that your donor submitted that form. So, right, they might say, yes, I'll give you $500, and then you send them the link, and then they forget, or they don't get the email or whatever. So you'll also want to be paying attention to the.
Yeah, so that's the great thing, we hope, is that it will be, if they pay right away, it will be immediately published to your profile. So we want this deadline of the end of September because at the beginning of October, we're requiring everyone to check out their profile, make sure everything is correct, including that their matching grantor is published. If it's not printed, published on your profile, that means we have not received their payment. And so that would be the indicator that you would double check with us. Are you sure you haven't received it? We would double check. And then we go and we follow up with them. And so we want the month of October to make sure we have everyone's so that it's all published so that by November 1st, all the profiles, all the matching grants are in and we're all good to go when the site goes live to the public.
Thank you. Okay, another question, yes.
So what if we find a new matching grantor? And we're past through the end of September. Our profile's live, so we can see how much money we're raising, and somebody comes along, some fairy godmother comes along and wants to join and be a new, I'll give you this. But we're way past, we're in the middle of the campaign now. Is that possible? I'll let you. Go ahead. I love the fairy godmother.
So I think what has been done before, we've had similar situations happen, is the organization will work with that donor and do kind of a side, like it's a matching somehow with just that organization. So it's not technically our matching grant anymore because we have to shut it off. Otherwise, I mean, we know we'll still get stuff.
Slide in that. You can just keep adding
No,
to-
no.
Yes, so the question was, if we pass the deadline and you find someone who wants to donate a matching grant, can you do that at any time and have them submit it and be live on the website? And the answer is no.
Right, but there are creative ways to still get that matching grant. So-
Yes.
So no, but yes.
Yes, another question.
Is there anything?
Oh, that's a great question. The question
We'll get
was,
to it.
is there
Invoice
anything?
number?
Yeah. Is there any thing that needs to be written on the check? And I think that's probably in the form too, that you need the invoice number.
And that's, yeah.
And yeah, that all of those instructions will be there. But that's a good, yeah, because you want to make sure that they know that when the check comes in, they know the staff knows which grant it's paying. So thank you. All right. Oh, another question. Yep. So, yep, so the question was, all the matching grant funds are held in trust by the Give campaign. So if you get that grant, you won't get the funds until February at the payout ceremony. And the answer to that is yes. So if you have donors who normally give to you, but you rely on those funds at that time for operations, which was part of the question, that you would need to, you won't, whatever matching grant funds are paid before the campaign, you won't have access to them till the end. So then you would decide whether those funds you would not have be a matching grant and just be donated directly to you rather than being a matching grant. Yeah, so that would, yeah. Which might also be incentive to find new, part of the idea here is also, as a fundraiser, this gives you a hook, a reason to reach out to other people maybe who did not donate to you before, who somehow might support you. And that's part of what we're going to talk about when we go through the 5 keys. But we will. It's okay. There's always lots of questions. Yes, totally okay. Yes, what's your question? Great question. So the question was, who are we giving? Is the Give campaign giving them a gift receipt? And the answer is yes. All the donations that are for you that come through the Give campaign provides IRS compliant donor receipts. So in the Give campaign, if you donate to 5 nonprofits, you will get a receipt and a thank you that says, here's how much you gave through the Give campaign to each of these organizations, and that is the gift receipt. So one of the things about this is your organization does not send like an IRS gift receipt. You should definitely send a thank you. But not the gift receipt. All right. And back to the 5 keys to fundraising. All right. The first one, this seems really obvious and you're like, why are you even telling me this? But when, especially for folks for whom it is difficult, sometimes it can be hard to be a fundraiser and raise money when it's not something you've done a lot before. But this is the most important thing to remember, that people give because they are asked, which means for you to be raising money, the most important thing for you to do is not to keep editing your ask script or say, oh, well, maybe let me see if I maybe need to update my brochure. And oh, well, what does it say on our website right now? Maybe we need to first do that. The most important thing for you to do is to ask people. For all of the different ways that fundraising strategies evolve and different ways that you will connect with donors, different things about your organization that donors care the most about. So the number one thing is, and this is what you want to be focusing your plan and strategy and calendar and what you're checking off. Am I doing what I need to be doing? At the very top of that list needs to be asking people, finding people and getting that ask made. Okay. Number 2 is, get to the right screen. People give more because they are asked by someone they know. Again, this is something that is very much borne out in the research and experience. So this is also where I remind everyone, don't try to find the phone number to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's not people give because they have lots of money. It's people give because they're asked by someone they know. And I put on here this link. Some of you might be familiar with the Benavon model. This is one of my favorite tools that you can use with your volunteers, with your staff, with your board of directors to help identify, basically brainstorm people who you know that you can ask. So this treasure map, basically it's a document. You can use that link and you can make copies of it and you can hand them out to do at your board meeting. And it basically has a little treasure box in the middle and lots of spokes coming off of it. And what you do is this exercise where you do it live with people and everybody gets one. And then you say, okay, think of parts of your life where you know people. And you literally start writing down my book group, my workout friends, my family, my, whatever groups you can think of. And then you go around the room and you ask people to say what their groups are. And what happens there is people go, oh, right, I have that too. I'm going to write that down. Oh, I have that too. And so what you do is it's a really great generative activity. And through doing that, those folks on your board will find people, oh, I could ask them for a matching grant, or I could introduce you, my executive director, to my friend to ask them for a matching grant, whoever's doing the asking. So the idea is that it's a way to really think of who else you know, who you can ask. Okay. Number 3, people give even more because they are asked by someone they know for a nonprofit that they are aware of. So these are reminders to be doing the kind of marketing and outreach that you can do. The more people know you, but it's also a reminder that you can think of, well, who knows us? Who knows our organization that we might not have thought of asking? Make sure that you attend the marketing and the media training workshop and the Give campaign, because that will also give you some more ideas to get your name out there. And this might even be people who utilize your services. people who are volunteers, your family members. They probably really love the fact that you're doing this really cool work, and maybe you didn't think of asking them, and they might want to support you in that way. And then number 4 is people give even more when they are asked by someone they know for a nonprofit that they respect and they believe makes a positive impact. So this speaks a little bit to how you communicate the work that your organization does. And particularly if you're going to be approaching folks who have not given a matching grant to you before, what a lot of kind of psychology donor giving says about people who support organizations, people really give with their heart. People give because of the why, because they care, because they understand why it matters, the work that you do. But many people believe they give because, well, I know this organization uses their money really well. And I know that this organization, that every, $20 I give, results in this particular impact. Many of you organizations have some of those kinds of impact statements. And so although people really give because of what they care about, they often talk themselves into supporting what they want to support with some of that more, data-driven information. And so part of you getting ready for your ask is you want to make sure you have some of that information. What does, $100 to my organization get you? How do we publish an annual report and, I was about to say, I'm not even going to say whatever kinds of information that you want to talk about with how your organization functions in a way that demonstrates the positive impact. And number 5, people give even more sacrificially, even when they are asked by someone they know for a nonprofit that has made a dramatic, life-changing impact on themselves, a family member, or a very close friend. And I know that this is something that you can feel, and many of you probably know, because many of us who work for nonprofits, this is one of the reasons that we work for them, because we've had someone that we know or ourselves personally impacted by the organization. And this is also where I'll come back to that idea of do not say no for people, especially organizations that serve people who are at risk, who have low income, who are struggling for any different reason. It's really easy for you to think, oh, well, I shouldn't ask them for money. They don't have a lot of money. One of my favorite fundraising gurus, I forgot to mention her earlier, is Kim Klein. And she really gave me my first big aha understanding of why fundraising is such a wonderful calling. That when you ask someone to donate to your organization, you are giving them a gift. You are not begging for something. You are giving them an opportunity to support something that they care about. You're giving them an opportunity to make a difference in the world. And if you don't ask them, you are withholding that gift from them. And I know, because I was one of these people as well, as much as I've spent many years fundraising, I personally experienced that difficulty of picking up the phone and making me ask. Society has all kinds of hangups about money. And so the more you can really think about and recognize and be focused when you are asking someone for money, for asking someone to support your organization, keep that in your mind, that you are giving them the opportunity. And if they say no, they're not saying, I don't like you. And in fact, if you do have a meeting with a donor or ask someone and they say no, recognize too that that is another opportunity to ask, well, is it something you might be able to support in the future? Or is there another way that you might be interested in supporting the organization or being part of the organization? Or maybe not exactly in that place, but one of the best phrases to use when you're meeting with a potential or supporter is tell me more. people, if someone says no, there's usually a reason, and you don't want to say, well, why? Necessarily in a, kind of challenging kind of way, but you want to give them the opportunity to tell you more about what they care about, what they think about. They might say, oh, my daughter just went to college and I just mortgaged my house a second time, so I can't do that now, but I really care about your organization and I can do something else, or something else. And it's an opportunity to just get to know that donor more. So definitely utilize that. And don't not ask someone because you think they might not want to give or might not be in a position to give. Don't say no for them by not asking. Okay, it's time to practice. How much time? This goes till 5 o'clock.
Yeah. And we're, you know,
Okay.
so, yeah, 10 minutes.
Yes.
Good.
Okay, so here's what we want to do. I realize that some of you all do not have a script, and it's okay if you don't have a script. We're going to take 10 minutes. And what I would like everyone to do who are here in person, pair up with one person who's not in your organization. And if you feel like, oh, I don't know what to say, take just a few minutes to write some notes. You can also, actually, you can use this QR code and you can pull up a sample script at the bottom of the page here. At the top, there's a bunch of information, but at the bottom is kind of a script that you could even fill in. Hi, my name is, I'm so-and-so, whatever. That might be a little too involved for today. But really, what I want you most to do is I want you to say, my organization, say the name of your organization, is in the Give campaign this year. And we need to raise, or we want to raise, or I want to ask you if you would consider making a matching grant to our organization in the Give campaign. I want to tell you what that means. That means the minimum amount is $500. And matching grants get published on our webpage in the Give campaign, and they challenge the public to give more to our organization. So by giving a matching grant to our organization, you will encourage more people to give to us during the live campaign in November and December. Would you consider making a donation of $500 or more for the Give campaign, for our organization and the Give campaign? So for me, at least, saying those words and practicing saying those words, and I kid you not, getting in front of a mirror and saying those words will help you to do that when you're sitting down in front of someone and you might be nervous and you don't, maybe if you haven't done a lot of this kind of asking, maybe you don't know the person that well for whatever reason. It helps you get over your initial nerves and to actually say the words, would you be willing to make a donation of $500 or more to my organization for the Give campaign this year? I do want to just underscore this with some great brain research. Right, like in the last several years, we've learned how elastic the brain is and that you really develop these neural pathways. By saying those words, the more you practice, the more you do it, the more you will feel comfortable doing it when you are asking someone live, the more you ask them live. So that's why I'm really encouraging you to now take 10 minutes, find somebody in the room who you can practice with. And instead of just having a conversation about whatever, really practice saying those words and also saying what your organization does, the impact that you give, because the other person might be able to also give you some good feedback on your pitch and how you talk about your organization. So go. You might even need to stand up and look around to find somebody. You can move around to sit next to each other. We'll do this for 10 minutes. Oh, I'd have one question. They might have that. You can email them and ask. There was a question about how many website or how many hits our website gets so that you can let people know. So those of you who are online, I don't I thought, okay. I don't think it's gonna work because it's so loud in here. Okay.
So if I talk, like, the folks in the room can't hear me, or, okay. Um, okay, so I'll just, as though I've made a phone call or something like that. Hi, gotta pick a fake name. I'll say hi. Hi, Barb. I was just calling because you have been such a wonderful and dedicated donor to Inside Out Youth Services. And I was wondering, are you familiar with the Give campaign? We're a participant again this year, and I was wondering, we are seeking some of our top donors to become matching donors for the Give campaign. And what that means is that you would be pledging to donate a certain amount if we raise a certain amount. And that helps us increase our impact and increase our reach in a big way. Because people feel that they're because then people get to double their impact thanks to your contribution. So, I would love to talk to you a little bit about what that would look like and also talk about some of the great work we've been doing this year. Are you interested? And then, I'd kind of go from there and see how they respond.
Thank you. This is Barb. I got on my phone and I stepped out.
Okay, hi, Barb.
Hi. Do folks online have any feedback or questions?
I know I wish I was a little more concise. I think I need to practice saying it a little more.
Hi, can you hear me? This is Terry Peisner.
Yes.
Hey, yeah, I think you did a really good job introducing yourself and talking about the Give campaign. I mean, I, as a potential, donor, would like to hear about the work you've done and what you're going to do with the Give campaign funds.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I think what I would say then is how I would change that is, this has been a big year for Inside Out Youth Services with the process of reopening and changing our security procedures, given the social and political landscape we're experiencing. We rely on our donors more now than ever so that we can continue providing a safe space that is both like emotionally safe and physically safe for LGBTQ young people. So, we have already made a lot of changes to our space and our procedures to increase our security. However, our big goal is to work with our donors to be able to expand our space more. And, the Give campaign and the funds from the Give campaign are a big part of that.
That was great feedback. And Nico, I would encourage you to be even more direct to say that the funds we raise in the Give campaign will help us expand our space.
Okay, yeah. I appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else be willing to practice their pitch?
Well, this is Christine from Tri-Lakes Cares. I'm not going to practice a pitch. I just want to say, I think what Nico did was really good because he started out by thanking the donor first. And that's always very critical, I have found, when you're trying to get more money.
Yes. Christine, I'll admit, when I saw your name, I was like, I'm going to ask Christine if she'll do her pitch. Because I know you have a good one.
Well, it's funny. Most of the pitches that I do, I have select donors that I will reach out to every year for the Give campaign matching grants. And I will always start it off with an email first because they like the information beforehand. And then about a week later, I will follow up with a phone call and say, hey, I'm just following up with my email that I sent you about the Give campaign. Would you be willing to be a matching grantor again this year? And 9 times out of 10, that works. It's very seldom that I will call a donor initially on the phone because most of the people that I contact for us, they're businesses and they're really busy. So if I send them the information first and then follow up with a phone call, it's much easier to do the pitch then.
That is really great advice, Christine. I'm going to tell everyone when we come back so that everyone else who's in person here can hear that.
Because what I do is I take the information that the Give campaign provides us with what the Give campaign is about and how it would help them support Tri-Lakes Cares. And then I create an actual pledge form based on the information that Give campaign has given me. And I do that as an attachment with my initial email because I'll say, I've attached additional information. Please take a look at it and I'll contact you and if you have any questions. And I have to say that has worked really well for me over the years, because if I'm calling, especially if you're new to the campaign, if I'm calling a potential supporter and to talk about it, very often the response I've gotten is, can you send me something by email? And that way I already have it ready to go and poof, it goes out and it then follows up with a much easier follow-up and a much easier ask at the end.
Right. Hey, Christine, can I ask you a question? Would you be willing to share with the Give staff an example of that email that you send out and the pledge form, just
Certainly,
in case others might want to just steal your great idea?
Yeah, that's not a problem. I can send you what I used last year. I haven't updated it yet because I haven't had time yet, but I can send you what I used last year.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then,
Because
of course, people can update it with like saying you can enter your information on this form if you want to.
Correct. And like I said, because a lot of the people that I approach for these matching grants are businesses, and business people are busy. So
Yes, absolutely.
and this
Okay.
approach may not work well for individual donors, but it has worked well for me for those business donors. So
Yep. Awesome. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. I'm looking at our clock. I think I'm going to go back into the noisy room and see about getting us all back together again and hear what feedback folks have. Thank you guys for participating online too. I really appreciate it. All right. Well, I'm going to turn my sound off now, but then we'll turn the sound off in the room in a minute or two. Are you guys done with your practice? If you are, will you, come back and, so, very cool. It actually works to, have the folks online. One person gave their pitch and then there was some conversation. Let me make sure folks online can hear me. I think I reset my audio the right way. And great suggestion from Christine Bucher. Did I say your name right, Christine? I know I should know by now.
Yes, that is correct.
Great, thank you. With Tri-Lakes Cares, been in the Give campaign for many years. And what Christine does, particularly with her business folks who she's asking to be matching grant donors, is she always sends an email first and says, I'll follow up with a phone call. And she even creates her own pledge form with information about the Give campaign on it that she attaches to the email. So she sends that and then she follows up with a phone call afterwards. And she said that she will share her form with the Give staff so they could put it in the library so that you guys can steal other people's good ideas, which is what we do in the Give campaign. Yeah, so what did you all hear from each other that was helpful? What kind of feedback did you get? Yes.
And she said, you have passion about you, and that is so important.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And that's really important. I mean, that's so important that so for those online, if you didn't hear, her partner said that her passion for the work really came through and that was really important. So definitely don't hold back when you're talking to a potential donor about why you care so much, why you're doing the work that you're doing. Wow, for real goosebumps. Awesome. Well, who else? Yes.
Megan and I were discussing it, and we both realized kind of the same ish that sometimes we're not talking to the donor directly. We're having to talk to board members or other staff and help them be ready or trained on how to make the pitch, you know, and so we realize that's something we need to be thinking about too, because we may not be sitting there talking directly to the donor.
Right.
How can we still take the training today and help the rest of the organization be doing this, you know, send out the soldiers, not just us doing it.
Yes, great. So for those of you who didn't hear online, wanting to make sure that you're also training and providing this information to other board members or people in your organization that are going to be, not just you, other people that are going to be making those asks. So yes, the more people making asks, the more asks you can make and the more funds that you'll raise, the more impact you will have, which is of course what it's about. I have another one here.
Realize that I don't want to just focus on you give us this money and we'll be able to get more money through you, but also explain how that money is important, how it can be used.
Yes. Yes. So Jim said that I realized he didn't want to just focus on how much money you are giving and that gets you more money as a matching grant, but focusing on what the impact is, what that money is going to do. And that of course is perfect because that is why someone's giving. They're not just going, oh, matching grants, that's cool. Like it's the reason that, you know, what impact that money will have. Yes.
Initially on somebody who is already a year, somebody who is
Yes.
supporting the organization. I actually went to a meeting tonight where they said the subject of this meeting is to determine how to spend our money and which nonprofits we're going to support. So I'm giving my pitch tonight.
Excellent. So she's getting a chance to give her pitch tonight. Oh, that's great. Yes, absolutely. So one thing that she said was that it's really good to practice your pitch with people that are a sympathetic ear. So starting with, in fact, you might have a donor to your organization who's been giving every year and they always give, and you know that they give the amount, or, you know, could consider giving the amount for a matching grant. Especially if you're new at this, you could even ask them, hey, can I practice my give matching grant pitch with you? That I want to be, you know, asking other people as well. I know you really support us. So that's a great idea for using them. All right. Okay, so I think we need to wait, I have one more and then we'll move on. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. No, they, yeah, no, we're talking about somersaults. You need to roll. No, we'll roll with it. Thank you. I will edit that. No, this is the new slide that I made today. Thank you. Okay, so after the different kind of role playing, the last couple things that I have really for this is just some other things to be thinking about. What next? Making sure that you find those people, you know, do the brainstorming, make a list who you're going to ask. Make sure that you have a good database if you don't already, that you're really keeping good track of who you've asked, who has donated to you, who has told you, well, I can't right now, but I need to later. I know some organizations are more sophisticated. You have a great database. Many do not. And so you need to make sure you have a really good Excel spreadsheet that you're keeping really good track in, because this is your relationship with these folks. And so you want to make sure to have a good database.
On
Yes.
that note too,
Oh, yeah.
this is a good time to look back at your previous donors because they could be a good source of matching grants too.
Yes. People who've donated to you many times, but maybe they haven't been asked to be a matching grant donor. Very good point. And then make sure that you have, this was a little bit of the pitch. So some of you guys were realizing, oh, I need to hone my pitch a little bit more. Make sure that you really have a good, succinct, clear way of talking about your why your organization exists and how it is. Your strategic plan does not have to be an elaborate, 5-page, 4-year, 3 and 5 year. It needs to be, this is why we exist, and this is how we make that happen. This is how we make that impact, so that you can describe what you do and that you know how to do it. So the idea of a strategic plan is that here are the steps that we take, here are the kinds of programs that we run, here's how we know that how we're utilizing our funds does make the difference that we're trying to make. And that feeds into your marketing and communications plan. So first thing is to get those matching grant asks out there and to get some matching grants. But then in the Give campaign, you also want to be starting to think about what's your marketing and communication plan during the campaign, because matching grants don't help you if nobody knows you have them. And yes, people will stumble upon you in the Give campaign, but what you really want to be doing is having a great communication plan to tell everyone you know on a regular basis during the live campaign that now's the time to donate, to come to the Give campaign, donate to you now. Their donations will be matched by the matching grantors that you're raising. So you want to have a good plan for doing that outreach. If you haven't heard this already, if you didn't already know, one of the reasons that the Give campaign is such a powerful collaboration among nonprofits is that all of the nonprofits are telling everyone who is their friend, who's on their newsletter list, who they know, who watches their social media, to come to the Give campaign, to donate to them. And that's also when people learn about other nonprofits that they care about. And in case no one's told you this yet also, I have seen this over and over again. Sometimes nonprofits are worried like, oh, but I don't want to tell my existing donors to give to me in the Give campaign, because then maybe instead of giving me the $50 they normally give me, they might only give me 10 and give somebody else 10 and somebody else 10. what happens more often, and this has been documented over and over again, that person who's going to give you $50 gives you $50, and then they see you in the Give campaign, and they're going to give to other groups, and they're like, oh, and I'll give an extra $10 too, to the organization that I already donate to. Many, many nonprofits have shown us that they actually get extra donations from their regular donors when they invite them to participate in the Give campaign. Okay, and make sure you can talk about that, your fundraising plan, implementation plan, and any other questions? Oh, okay, form one more time and we'll talk about it a little more. Okay.
Again, we did look over it real quick.
Okay, so
So I
staff has
just
been
wanna look
looking at
back
the
over
form.
it.
We're gonna put the form back up and talk a little bit more about it. Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
So it's up there. Let me see where the cursor is. Okay, so it's there. So if you do the
Okay.
down arrow,
Okay, let's go back up to this part, and we did kind of fly through the very top. So this is pretty much verbatim what was on the previous form. So all the same information going to actually going to the donor. So, you know, I don't know if y'all were filling them out for them before, but it's very likely you were. So now the donor will actually get to see this part and hopefully actually see this part. Has the dates in there. Yep.
It does talk about the January 12th right there at the bottom, so that they see that they need to reach out if they want to reclaim their unmatched funds.
And the way we understand this is working on the back end. When they pay ACH, it will automatically, like she said, automatically publish to your page. So we will know right away, which is not how it was done previously. This is a heck of a lot easier for us because that was all done manually. With the checks, it will need to be done manually, but in addition to this being different, we are also using QuickBooks Online now. So we will be making those invoices as they are coming through. And before we were not part of that process. So now we are part of that process. So we will be able to see any outstanding checks. So we can communicate that with you way sooner also. So, and we can run reports. So it's just a heck of a lot easier than it was before because it was, you know, 4 different parties actually kind of involved in it sometimes. And yeah, so we're excited about that. To answer the question, what the receipt says, because I have it pulled up now. So it's just a simple, you know, online donation receipt. And it's just asking them the invoice number, and that invoice number doesn't really make sense, rhyme or reason. We were just told, it is populated by the website, which I know that doesn't mean much to you now, but if you look back on your old stuff, it'll be like MG 2022, and then a number. They're going to look a little different this year, so don't freak out. We're aware of that. And it has the mailing address. We are putting that mailing address everywhere because as most of you probably know now, the independent color publishing 6035, whatever they're calling themselves these days, are no longer at 235 South Nevada. So we do not want any mail at all whatsoever sent there because who knows where it'll go.
Which, yeah, was a big problem last
Huge
year.
problem last
So
year.
please, if you are going back to a matching grantor that you've had for years and years, please make sure that they have changed our address in their databases, because if that is sent to the wrong address, we don't know exactly what will happen because they're not occupying that building anymore.
And you will find specifically, it is some of the foundations. As amazing as they are and as streamlined as they make everything, the foundations just have these addresses on file and we'll go in and just print these checks. And that's where we've run into trouble. So if you're working with a donor who's going through a foundation, like really make sure that they are up to date on our PO box. And then it's just,
Yes.
Yep. And then, yeah,
And
it's
on the
everywhere. Yeah, so the receipt they get, because even if they do choose check, they'll still get that same receipt. They'll still have that same information. They'll just have to mail that in. If it's ACH, they stop at the receipt. Receipt's just the receipt and they're done. We're not using the credit cards because of the fees. And some of these are pretty substantial, donations. And that would just eat up a ton of the donation and that fee. So, yeah, and we've just never done credit cards for this part. So maybe eventually we'll get there, but right now, we're still just doing it kind of the old fashioned way. And then that final piece of information is just, the give campaign is what we want the check written out to. We can work around it if it is in your, organization's name, but it's just easier if they do it correctly the first time, so. Yep. Yeah.
And it is really important that they send with the receipt and or put the name of your organization in the memo field, just to make
Yeah.
sure that.
Yeah, so the
can
invoice
find that
number
invoice.
is going to be in the receipt that is emailed to them. So when they get that, once they filled the form out, it'll say that number, and that would be the number that they write on the memo line of the check.
It says it all right at the top, so,
Yeah.
and it's all like one string of information. Sorry, I can't show it to you right now, so we're on different computers. But it does, it just says, if you're sending check by mail, has all the information right there in one, like, almost run-on sentence, because I was in a hurry and when I did that. But yeah, all the information they should need is there. And our contact information is there too, so if they have any questions, we can easily answer those too. Any questions at this point? Yes.
You may have covered this, and I apologize if I missed it. What is the best way for us to reach out to you to? Should it be email? Should it be cell phones, text? What do you prefer?
The question for the Zoomers, I realize we haven't been repeating, is the best way to reach out to Courtney and I. And I would say email is great. I kind of just have the inbox open all day. And so unless I'm, out that afternoon or something, we try to get back pretty quickly on that. There is a Google number. So that's the number that's all over here too. And so that rings through our laptops as well. But if we're away, then it leaves us a voicemail and we get that through email as well. But I would say that we're most responsive to emails. Yeah.
Yep. And the give@givepikespeak.org, we are both in that one, so, yep. So if you're trying to get at either of us, that's a good one to use.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, then we'll let you go, because.
And thank you. Can we get a round of applause for Barb?
Yeah.
Thank you, Barb. And a round of applause for yourselves, because you're gonna raise so much money. Abundance.
Yes, thank you for being here. Take snacks as you go, because there's lots left, so thank you.
Thanks for all the online joiners. It was great to hear from you and see your names. Good luck out there raising the funds.
Thank you, Barb. Have a good one. It's Laura.
Take care.
Hey, Barb, this is Terry.
Oh, wait.
Can you hear me?
You know what, Terry, hold on.
Okay.
It's so loud in here. Let me get on my phone so I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. I will be right there, Terry. Let me.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, Terry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So
Oh, wait,
I
my
just,
volume is down too far.
okay.
Okay,
Can
can you hear me?
you- Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
I can
me?
barely hear you. Why is it being?
Can you hear
Oh, wait.
me?
Now I can. Yes, sorry.
Okay. Hey, I just had the question, and I think somebody asked it earlier in the chat. Like, what does that sentence in the form about each nonprofit in the Give campaign is required to raise a matching grant totaling at least $1,000? Like, what does that mean?
Oh, I thought it said 500. No, it is 1,000. So that means either at least one matching grant for $1,000 or two matching grants for 500 each.
So it's like, it's the minimum that each nonprofit has to
Nonprofit is
like
expected to.
at least have
yes.
1,000 in matching. Because I honestly think it's confusing to have that on the form. if
Oh, it's
the-
on the form.
It's on
Oh, it's-
the form, and I
right.
think it's confusing for sponsors,
Yes,
to read that
I
sentence, because
agree.
it looks like, yeah, their minimum has to be 1,000 instead of 500.
Oh, I see. Thank you. I will pass that on to them and have them edit that because I agree.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. All right, that was
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no problem.
Terry.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, thanks you did a great job, as always.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. All right.
right.
Hope to see you sometime soon.
Yes, I do too. All righty,
Bye,
bye-bye.
everybody.